Hey, y'all. This is Ruckus and The Menace, and you're listening to the Ruckus and The Menace podcast. And hello, ladies and gentlemen, and all sports fans alike. Welcome to our silver episode of the Ruckus and The Menace podcast, as this is episode number 25.
I
I'm
could think
Ruckus
of
the
a better
Menace.
number than 24.
I
I'm
knew
sorry,
where
go
you were
ahead.
going with that. I knew where you were going with that.
25.
Which made me now the next thing I wanted to say was the owner of the white sedan, you left her lights on.
I think that was in the Band Geeks episode too.
Yes, it was. It was the same episode where he also went Squidward, is mayonnaise an instrument?
He's like, no, Patrick, shut the hell up. He didn't actually say shut the hell up,
Mayonnaise is not an instrument.
this show is now rated PG 14.
Oh my. Now look what you've done.
Well, we're starting off 25 in
I mean,
really good
I mean,
fashion.
granted, granted, we're in the pregame warm up, so and yes, I have decided to repackage these segments for this. So, if for previous episodes, if you see something that's under a different name, I officially went through and decided and just kind of was thinking of it actually as I was driving home from work today to just kind of repack it, like just kind of repackage it. So that was part of my thinking, and other things I've kind of been up to. My fiance and I are continuing watching She-Hulk. We just started Andor. We got the light fixtures replaced and installed an over-the-stove microwave at the house.
Ooh.
So we're getting we're getting some things established here and there, and less than 180 days until I move in. So trust me, there's probably going to be a few mundane days here and there in between, as I will be doing probably a lot of preparing to move.
Yeah, that's always kind of a pain. Just no matter the situation, no matter if you're just going from apartment to apartment or if it's just like apartment to house, it could be a handful.
Yep, that is true. But with all of that said, what's kind of been new with you there, Ruckus?
Well, Ruckus has been playing way too many video games, staying up late, and watching TV. I've been watching a lot of Rick and Morty. Well, I watched the newer episodes of Rick and Morty recently. I've actually been doing that for the past few weeks that they started. I think they're now on episode 4. Um, but I've also just been. I finally beat the Amazing Spider-Man game, which was a remaster of the 2018 released PS4 version that was ported to PC.
I thought it was just Spider. That one was just Spider-Man. The Amazing Spider-Man was a whole different set.
Oh, okay. Well, anyways, I beat Spider-Man. And I'm very excited for Miles Morales to come out in the fall for PC. I got curious about it because I was like, "Oh snap! Like I can't wait for Miles Morales," and I was like,
Oh, I know that we both were mentioning like Marvel-related things, but did you see the latest trailer that is led to an announcement for the new Deadpool movie?
"Oh, I have not." I hardly pay attention to like the news stuff for like stuff that's teased or anything like that, but that'd be interesting for me to look at later after the show.
Yeah, it is slated for a 2024 release, and and Ryan Reynolds is returning as Deadpool, and Hugh Jackman is coming back for this as Wolverine.
Oh, now I don't even need to watch the video. I already know how this is gonna pan out.
Oh no, you don't see Hugh Jackman in it at all. It's you hear him, but you don't see it.
All right,
But
now I'm going to go watch the video later tonight. We'll see if I can remember. Um, but yeah, I that sounds pretty cool. Kind of reminds me of like when they were teasing the new Star Wars that came out like in 2019, and they were teasing the Sith Lord to come back with his cackles and laughing, his evil laughter. That's kind
oh,
of what that's reminding me of right now with Hugh Jackman's voice. I
with
mean,
with Palpatine and the Rise of Skywalker.
yes, good. Sorry you had to hear that in your ear holes, people. But yeah, I I don't know. I'm very excited for Miles Morales to come out in the fall for PC though. Like, I loved the Spider-Man game so much. It was fun. It was exciting. I thought I was gonna be using a Xbox controller to play, scratch that because keyboard and mouse is where it's at for this game on the PC port. I felt like I was playing Doom again because like on Doom it's like really fast-paced shooting and you got to move around a lot. This was like a whole nother level of that. Like you're mostly dodging crap in Spider-Man, and it's very intense at times because like you had to like dodge so many enemies, and you get to the point where you get like a really tough enemy and you're just like really like pissed off about that new difficult enemy, and you're just like, man, I really want to kill this guy first and then kill the other guys that aren't as good. But yeah, but they're also from the makers of Ratchet and Clank, which is Insomniac
Yeah.
Entertainment.
Yep.
Love their stuff.
And the gameplay kind of runs very functionally like Batman, like the Batman Arkham, except instead of Batman doing a lot more counterattacking, like more so moving by countering, Spider-Man is more so the agile superhero and moving by dodging.
Right, and then sliding under people with shields, that's always fun.
Yep. Yep, that's kind of how that functionally is going to work.
All right, you
But
ready for this
in
next
and
segment?
now we're set for the starting lineup. And this is a rather, and I'll tell you what, this starting lineup this week is a little beefy, as we ended up with a lot of things kind of come in this week. And we're first going to go into some breaking news with the home run chase of Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge was still at homer number 60 until earlier tonight, as he hit his 61st dinger of the season, tying the AL record set by Roger Maris. He is now one home run from holding that record outright, with probably what are we, about 6 games left to play, Ruckus?
I believe so. It feel man, this season like went by though. I'll tell you what.
Yep.
Is Roger
And
Maris even still alive?
no, but I think there was definitely a lot of like controversy with this involving a lot of opinion involving the children of Maris, but I think the act Maris in the flesh, I think, has already passed on.
Okay. Because, anyways,
And also on speaking of home run chases, we're going to keep this in the segue. Albert Pujols has now hit home run number 699 and 700 on a 2 home run day Friday night. Pujols has now become the 4th player to ever hit 700 career home runs, and is actually the first of Latino descent to do it.
Dominican Republic, I think, yeah.
Yeah, but I was saying Latino as in you had Aaron, who was African American, Bonds, African American, Ruth was white. So Pujols
Yeah.
being the first of Latin descent. I mean, Pujols being from the Dominican Republic, as you would say, but I was saying just in even the broader spectrum, because
Yeah.
though A Rod has a little bit there, A Rod came up short. Hmm. Now the question here is, I think we should actually stick with baseball, and
Sounds good to
we'll
me, man.
we'll go right into the wild card playoff races and the updates in Major League Baseball this week. The Guardians, Yankees, and Cardinals all clinched their respective divisions this week. And here is the update on all 3 wildcard spots remaining in the AL. Really, it's the chases amongst realistically 4 teams, that being the Blue Jays, the Rays, the Orioles, and the Mariners. With the Orioles being 4.5 behind, with 4 games behind. And really, the 2 that are kind of right there on the outside looking in that have not officially been eliminated mathematically yet are the White Sox and Twins. Yeah, Boston got eliminated this week, so I knew it was coming. I was saying this as far as elimination as soon as we started fading out of the wild card. Mason Baltimore started picking up. So I knew we were gone like well before that.
And the Orioles are still hanging on somehow.
well, I think I'd give it about a few more days and the field will be set. I think there are about 4 games, and if they don't close the gap, to probably by about 2 or 3, the Orioles may be gone by this weekend.
Are they at home or are they away this weekend?
I'm not sure.
It says
But
they're
I'm
live
saying like
versus Texas. Or no, that's Seattle. My bad. They're at
yeah, but
Boston tomorrow.
but I was saying as far as that, I'm saying like the Orioles' chances of making the playoffs may not make it past the weekend.
Yeah.
Now for the NL, 2 wildcard spots remain, and it's realistically between 3 teams. As the Braves and Mets have already clinched, the loser of the division race will take the top wild card spot. And the 3 teams in that chase are the Padres, the Phillies, and the Brewers. And it's 3 teams really in pursuit of 2 spots. And listen, Ruckus, I mean, if you double check the standings, I think they're all within like 3.5 of each other.
Yeah, about San Diego's up 2.5. Philadelphia is about 2.5 or equal, I guess. It's on the wild cards games back. It says 13 plus for the Mets, 2.5 plus for the Padres, and then nothing for the Phillies, and then
Phillies.
and then the Brewers are 1.5 games back from the wild card.
That's about 4. That's about 4 games separating. That's about 4 games separating them. I was 4.5. I was saying between 3.5 and 4.5.
Yeah,
So
I was trying to mentally paint that picture. I was like, me math no good.
yeah, and I think now that kind of baseball is starting to wrap up. Next week, I'm trying to think, Ruckus. Next week's are we at the 5th of October at that point?
Yes.
Yeah, so baseball will be wrapping up at that point. I think all the playoff spots will already be set. So our high heat next week, in advance, will probably be the AL post or actually MLB as a whole postseason preview. And I'm pretty sure that the only thing that we're not gonna have, especially for the NL, is seeding. I think the NL we're gonna have a seeding issue that we may have to really assess a little bit more of kind of going into the weekend.
Yeah, we'll have to figure that out.
Yeah, but I think ultimately it's just going to be like kind of like breaking down at that point which wildcard teams may set out to be the favorite, especially with the end all the way it is and how tight the races are. But we'll see how the weekend separates things.
Yeah. Do you want me to do our first and only news thing for the NBA?
Yep.
All right. So the Celtics head coach now, somewhat former, I guess you could say, depending on what happens. Celtics suspend Ime Udoka for the 2022-2023 season with no determined action about his future further discussed. Joe Mazzulla, a former West Virginia University Mountaineer, will be the interim coach.
Yep. And this is interesting ties for me because I have actually seen Missoula in the flesh before he even became before he even was working his way up the NBA totem pole. As while he was kind of in his early coaching years, had crossed the paths in university wise of two Division II schools that played Shepherd during that time frame. First saw him as an assistant coach of the Glenville State Pioneers, and then was also a assistant coach for Fairmont State. So I had gotten to at least be in the presence of Joe Mazzulla. Never got to speak to him because he was always the coach of the opposite team, but was at least nearby.
That or he was just ignoring you as you were yelling at him, like, "Hey, hey you!" And he's just like,
No,
he...
I was. It would have been. I was actually covering games for the paper at the time, so it was.
Ah, okay, yeah.
So it was. So I may have been close by, but and really within shouting distance, but never really had the opportunity to
Who was he
say
the
a word
head
to him.
coach for on the opposite side?
Um, he eventually had head coached at Fairmont, but he was assistant. He was assistant at two different ones, but eventually I think became the head coach at
You didn't
Fairmont
heckle
State.
him when he was at Fairmont? You didn't say, like,
No,
"Hey, Fairmont sucks!" And then he just looks at you
no, they were
like,
at
and gives you...
No, they were No, they were Shepherd. They were Shepherd at that point. Like every time I saw him, it was where they were at Shepherd. Like, it was at Shepherd. Um, and then so it's like knowing his existence. However, the one person I did get to interview was the son of Coach John Beeline, who was formerly of WVU and Michigan basketball. So I did have that on my. I did have that as far as like WVU basketball ties that I did get to interview. I did get to have some time around, but this one, and the fact that you've got Joe, that it's definitely a big shout out to Joe Mazzulla and the great state of West Virginia for that one. That's why I kind of added that nugget in this little bit of information in there. But the overall situation as far as Ime Udoka, I mean, ultimately, yeah, wrong is wrong in this case, and there were a lot of like conflicting reports as we were going about this, really going through a lot of this throughout the week. Whether or
Yeah.
not, yeah, there was a lot of conflicting things. So I ultimately expect Udoka to not have an NBA coaching job when all of this is said and done. Just like Robert Sarver will no longer be the owner of the Phoenix Suns, Ime Udoka will no longer be the coach for the Boston Celtics. Whether or not the interim tag gets removed from Mazzulla, I think will be based on how he does this season.
Just have Coach Stevens take over, you know? Just
He
babysit.
has he has no interest. He has no interest in that. He is actually the reason why Mazzulla has taken over is because Stevens is going to stick with the front office responsibilities. I did see that. So that as a whole was something as well. That yeah, we were thinking like, oh, Brad Stevens is going to come back. Nope. Nope, that's actually not going to be the case. I think Brad Stevens more so is going to focus on that gifting of being able to scout and find talent, which he's been able to do.
Yeah.
So take advantage of a gift. Take advantage of gifting. I mean, he was also a gifted coach too, but I think he was also a gifted like his giftings as general manager. I think are probably going to outshadow that.
Yeah. All right. Are we ready for the last bit of news?
Well, yeah, we're gonna kind of get into that as well. And a lot of people that I know, especially from around here, were complaining that it's like, oh, everybody's getting all up in arms about this Ime Udoka thing, the Ime Udoka thing, this and even the Michael Vick thing was everybody was talking about like the everyday thing, but then everybody was neglecting the Brett Favre thing. Granted that this thing was about a couple weeks old, and I personally will apologize for the neglect on it because I was not certain as to whether or not stories like this are meant to be meant really in our place to say anything about, because we kind of stick to the ball, we kind of just stick to ball and really not necessarily like broach too many hot button issues. But
Yeah, that's why I don't
it
watch the
could
news
no
anymore.
longer. But I think I think with things like this and all of these like notable things that kind of came along, I don't think I could really broach this any longer. And now Brett Favre has been in the news involving a welfare scam in Mississippi, involving the welfare system in the state of Mississippi, which if you're kind of catching on here, Mississippi is also one of the poorest states in the country. Millions of dollars involved. A volleyball court at Southern Miss University was, I think, one of the main things that kind of came along with that. But I'm like, did he really just go through a welfare scam in in the state that really kind of made him well known, and the state that he would always retreat to during Favre Watch retirement sessions, or at least the mulling of retirement, when he very well could have gotten Southern Miss a volleyball court off of his Wrangler money.
I was about to say he could have just. Well, actually, instead of like sweeping it under the rug, he could just like give his contract money for Wrangler, just in general, for as like a donation for all this BS that just happened to the state of
It's,
Mississippi and
it's
everyone
like
involved.
he could have just used his endorsement money from Wrangler for this.
I mean,
If
a lot
I
of
mean,
rich people turn to other rich people to do their bidding too. Like if they're, I'm gonna say this as an example. The Hunt family, yes, I'm talking about my own Kansas City Chiefs, put a sponsor for the Arrowhead Stadium to be GHA Field at Arrowhead, and I have a feeling that that was because they wanted to like get earn, they wanted GHA to pay it forward a little bit so that they could afford Patrick Mahomes more and other things, you know.
I mean, but there is a difference. There is a difference between what the Hunts did in saying, "Hey, we're going to go to this company. We're going to ask for this major sponsorship, which will bring money into the team, and with that, we will name the stadium after you, or
Right.
pretty much after your company."
I'm not
Then
trying to make it
what?
sound like
Brett
I'm not trying to make it sound like it's as equally good or bad as what Brett Favre did. I was just saying in
No, I'm
general.
saying that what I'm saying with this is that there was a right and a wrong way to do it. And with what the Chiefs did in okay, we're going to make a business deal. We're going to make a business deal with this company to have a sponsorship, to have money come into our stadium or money come into our organization for them to have the rights in the name of our stadium.
Right.
You see teams do this all the time. I mean, think of why all of these stadiums have like Acrisure Stadium, Capital One Arena, I mean
Worcestershire.
Fenway Park and Opus are different. Like baseball is definitely different when it comes to that.
Yeah, it depends on
Um,
the company too, because like even like American Family Field, which once was Miller Park at one point for the Brewers, like they
yeah,
changed.
but those were all proper but those were done by proper sponsorships.
Right.
Coors Field, another one of the same another one of the same way. A Busch Stadium. I mean, all of those. I mean, you have St. Louis, Milwaukee, and Denver. Pretty
AT&T
much all of them.
Stadium like that too.
Yeah, all of them. And I was saying all of them. Like basically, you've got beer companies right in your backyard. You had beer companies right in your backyard. Of
Hell
course,
yeah, brother.
of course you were gonna go to them for a sponsorship.
Dude, I wonder if like off topic question. I wonder if you know how like the Kansas City when it comes to, like the sports is like thinking about switching from Kansas City, Missouri to Kansas City, Kansas or whatever. What if like the Royals for example moved from Kauffman Stadium to like Boulevard Stadium? Like could you see that happening? Like if the sponsor was Boulevard cuz they are the Royals sponsor of like their beer.
Maybe, but but I think out of all of the professional sports teams in the KC area, other than possibly Sporting Kansas City, I think the Chiefs I don't think will get out of Missouri. But I think the Royals would have been one of those that would have been most likely to transition from Missouri to Kansas
Yeah, speaking of
had it come down
sporting,
to it.
yeah, speaking of sporting, it used to be Livestrong Park too before you know.
Yeah, before Lance Armstrong and his scandal.
Yeah.
But trying to remember correctly, is Sporting KC, is that one the one that's actually in Kansas?
Yes, it is in Kansas City, Kansas. They're Kansas City, Missouri, and Kansas City, Kansas share a border.
Yeah,
Um,
I knew that much. I knew that much. It was just a
it's
matter of like I was more so shoring up the
it's near
correct
the
information.
racetrack over there. So like Kansas Speedway is like probably like a couple miles further from like the sporting complex and Legends and all that. I don't know exactly how many miles, but like it's pretty close.
Yeah, I was just shoring up correct information there.
You're fine. You're fine. I'm just telling you straight up. That's what it is.
Yep. But still kind of to say, yeah, in talking about Ime Udoka, yeah, wrong is wrong, wrong is wrong. Kind of came along with this. Yeah, it's the same thing that here applies also with Brett Favre. And yeah, you weren't hearing a lot of the Brett Favre stuff on a national scale, but I am sure that if you are listening in the state of Mississippi, that you were probably hearing about this whole Brett Favre thing and the questioning of the legalities of everything with all of this. You were hearing about all these reports on that every single day. And I think it was a little different as far as the Michael Vick thing here especially on the East Coast, because a lot of the issues that were involved with the Michael Vick thing occurred in the state of Virginia, which I think which
Are we
that
talking the dog fighting?
yes.
Okay, okay. I
Yes.
thought that happened in Atlanta for some reason.
I think yeah, but Michael Vick, I think all of that was actually in Newport News, Virginia. Um, yeah, I'm wanting to confirm all of that here.
I just remember
before.
that they like filmed like the backyard or whatever of him, and then like they just like showed him in handcuffs or whatever while wearing a nice suit to court or some shit like that. I don't know. It was a
Like
long
a
time
from
ago, and I just remember watching it on Sports Center.
because it was the dog fighting.
Also, that
Yeah,
Brett
yeah,
Favre.
yeah. It was yeah, it was all in Surrey County, southeastern Virginia.
Oh,
So
okay.
it was all really. I mean, granted, a few hours away from me, but it was still like federal and Virginia state felony charge, and all of that was in the state of Virginia because Vic is actually from Newport News, Virginia.
Yeah.
So that's where all that came from.
Yeah, and Brett Favre with the whole scandal thing, dude, his Wrangler commercials made me wish that I could have like a football game out in the backyard with like friends and family. Just seeing that commercial.
Man, but I did that. I mean, we were doing that. I was doing that a lot more often growing up. I was doing that a lot more often growing up. Like actually stepping out onto like an open field playing football. But I'm sure we both were doing that growing up. We were children of at least the 90s in some way,
Yep.
shape, or form.
Uh, do we want to go into our next one? Which
Well, the
one do you
next
want to
one
go
here,
for?
we're gonna do is I'm gonna talk about the Miles Garrett thing because I mean this is just a little bit more like sad, more sad, but because I think we're gonna have a little bit more fun with the next one anyway. We'll make up for it. But Miles Garrett was involved in a one vehicle accident earlier this week and suffered non life threatening injuries, which were then revealed to be to his shoulder and biceps. It is unknown as to whether or not he is going to be out for a significant amount of time. I'm sure he's going to miss a few games, which in a good race that is the AFC North, I don't think Cleveland could have afforded that.
And honest to God, the Browns are doing pretty good on defense regardless, but it also hurts that he's not there to like help them. But at the same time, you got Jadavian Clowney still. I don't know if he's hurt now, but just straight up,
You
you're doing fine.
you mean Jadavian overhyped draft bust?
Yeah, yeah, that Jadavian.
Yeah, that Jadavian, yeah, but really Miles Garrett is the cornerstone of that D line.
And now, after talking about murder and other crap, we're gonna go to the lighter
Well,
side of things.
not really murder, but talking about a guy who was slinging around helmets
Oh,
in a Pittsburgh.
I was making fun of the news whenever they talk about a double homicide, and they're like, "Okay, now with the weather, with Jim."
uh, but but I think I mean this is more of like yeah, there's a bad news than a good news with this. It's like the bad news is that the Pro Bowl is going away. The good news is what is being replaced with, as this could make for very, very interesting TV, especially for Peyton Manning's Omaha Productions, who is going to be behind a lot of this.
Yeah, and I hope Chad Powers is there too. He seems like a cool dude.
Did you? Oh, I
I
actually
saw
watched
that. I saw it.
I no, but I watched the Monday night football game.
Hmm.
I was watching that with the I actually did the Peyton and Eli cast
The
because
ESPN2 Peyton and Eli cast.
the Peyton and I did the Manning cast for that one.
I watched the
As
highlights for that one. It was pretty good.
no, but I'm saying, but as you know, I'm not a huge fan of Buck and Aikman. So I'm like, okay, let's pop on the Manning cast. Manning for the first half of the game wore this Chad Powers shirt over the top of his collared shirt. And of course, Eli was, and this is in reference to Eli's prank on Penn State.
Yeah.
But what it is that the NFL is replacing the Pro Bowl with a week-long Pro Bowl game skills challenge that includes football and non-football related skills and a flag football game. So what kind of things do you think are really going to be in this thing?
I think they're gonna probably keep dodgeball like they've done before.
I
Um,
think dodgeball will be done. Yes.
where are they gonna do it this next year? Is it gonna be at SoFi?
I think we're in Vegas.
Because we were in Vegas for last year's, and that was kind of a weird one.
It might have been. It's either at Allegiant or SoFi. It's one of the two. But I think what's going to be interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if, for some of the football related stuff, that we do have the passing thing. We do have the best hands.
I think this
Um,
would just benefit the NFL in general, because like the Pro Bowl just as a whole, when it comes to the game itself, has been pretty mediocre. And last year showed that like no one was tackling each other, because obviously no one wants to get hurt during a All-Star game. Like how like that just seems embarrassing at the most, but also just like it just seemed pretty lame and sad. And one of the actual I think it was Jarvis Landry had an idea of bringing in like college prospects that were coming into the NFL to play. So like people that like draft like pre NFL draft stuff. I thought that would be
yeah,
cool, but I don't think that there would have been a lot of logistics and crap to deal with that. I'm guessing, or they just didn't care to do
but
it.
but here's the thing that makes this very very interesting. Like, it says non-football related skills. What do you think we're gonna see? Receiver, like, all of a sudden, like, a small team of quarterbacks and running backs and stuff like that throwing down in a kitchen.
What if they did kickball? Because like they've done dodgeball many times, and that's non-football related.
Yeah,
They could do kickball, they could do
but
baseball, they
but
could
that's
do
but I'm saying
basketball.
that you would still have, but still with that, I think with dodgeball you have football related skills. I'm talking like, okay, are we gonna see like some culinary throwdown? Are we gonna see like a TikTok dance contest? Or are we gonna have like some really, really like off the wall stuff?
I don't
Or are
know.
we 'cause I mean, non football, there's a lot of things that could be involved with that, but I think the dodgeball stuff, I think almost seems like there's football related skill with that. It's
Dude,
a
you
not
know what would be really interesting with the cook-off stuff if they like put like ex football players like I could see them being like, "Oh, here's Vince Wilfork with his barbecue," and then you could have Mitchell Schwartz, shout out, offensive lineman for the Kansas City Chiefs, with like his like sautéing fancy stuff. But you could have
and
Vince
then you got
Wilfork.
Travis Kelsey with the Salt Bay and
No, you would just have the Kelsoroni from Minsky's. Minsky's is a local pizza chain in Kansas. But yeah, there was actually a pizza called the Kelsoroni, and I don't know. There's also like this company that he does sponsorship for, and I don't know if it's like a car wash or something, but I've seen ads for it whenever I drive by.
yeah. But
But yeah, Kelsoroni.
now that we've kind of gone through the starting lineup, let's kind of get into some some of the simulated games. This is now a segment where Ruckus and I kind of go through our what we've kind of been doing on the sport gaming realm, along with breaking down with what we've been doing as far as our fantasy football league seasons. That because yeah, it's really simulated games, and like we're not like it's not really fully us playing them. It's kind of just us playing a game involving the athletes that we would have there. So kind of start our video game stuff is the training grounds. What's kind of been your activity on the training ground today, Ruckus? Or
Man,
this week?
I admit I love me some modded Madden. Modded Madden, if you say that 5 different times, you're probably going to botch it at least once or twice. Don't lie to me if you said that you said modded Madden 5 times without saying modded like
I mean,
it's a
I mean,
tongue
you have that
twister.
all. You could do that with just about any sort of alliterative thing in the in just the world.
Yeah. So modded Madden is just playing Madden, but you can customize it however you want. So I have it to where the logic in the game, like the code of the game, is more like responsive and smart, to where the AI can uh, predict things better and make things more difficult on you, the player. I also have some stuff where the network skin. So like the normal Madden one is just like, oh, Madden simulation, and it gives you a scoreboard. Well, this is like, okay, you still get the announcers from that, but you could like have a skin of, oh, this is CBS Sports Network, or oh, this is Monday Night Football, like, and it'll even change the font and everything, and it just feels more immersive. And then there's like other updates you could do to like the players themselves, like their looks and whatnot. Like there's also some cool things with like the stadiums. There's a stadium mod where you could like have sponsors that would be like they were like in real life. Like you would see like a Miller Lite ad instead of like some generic ad that EA made up. Um, the like jumbotron stuff would do their normal stuff that you would see in game. It's just really cool things that just add a spice to it. But my main thing is the difficulty. Like I like the difficulty of it. It feels harder, but at the same time it doesn't feel like you're playing against a really stupid robot like Madden codes it to be. But I've also been playing some MLB The Show on the side. I'm not religiously playing it, but I like playing it every once in a while, even if there's like a program or whatever is involved. I pretty much played as much as I wanted to out of the show, but I still play it for fun because I love baseball sports games.
Yeah, I have actually been as far away from MLB The Show as I possibly can, just simply because it was like, oh, Madden was out, and then now it's like, oh, actually, 2K has done quite a lot of good things. I've been
Did they
playing.
botch franchise mode? Because I remember last time I played NBA 2K, they simulate a lot. Like if you're trying to do trades, did they take that out or is that still in?
I mean, you still have computer initiated trades and things like that,
Well, I meant
but
like, does it simulate time? Is what I'm trying to say, or does it leave it alone and let you do like as many trades as you want?
I think I'm not 100% sure because I have not messed around with my NBA eras yet.
That's fine.
And
I was
yes,
just curious because that's
my
why I was
NBA
kind of
eras is
turned
a
off.
thing, and that is basically what it is that it's your my NBA or your my league, my GM type thing. But you can do a whole bunch of things. Like, oh, set the thing back to the 80s or set the thing back to the 90s with the rules that are in play. I have not messed around with any of it yet, as I have
Fair enough.
been just playing the heck out of my team and trying to complete that side of it because leveling up like the season program in my career just involves so much and all of it just involves so much multiplayer online that it is such a chore to do. And I'm not a big online multiplayer guy. I just want to do all the stuff I can offline. Like just play the game the way that I need to play it. And I did like a whole division's worth of domination games today. So I went through the entire Northwest Division, which consisted of the Nuggets, Timberwolves, Trailblazers, Thunder, and that side of things. So now when I hop back on, I'll have 13 more games and I will be through the uh, through the first phase of domination, and then the golden age domination kicks in, and lo and behold, that the difficulty ramps up at that point where I got to play on superstar, which maybe interesting to play on. Who knows? Who knows what that all looks like? But I'll have I'll have fun either way playing it, because now I'll be throwing the best lineup I possibly can together. And I just picked up a Jerry West and am working on some other grind there. Um, my career, I made a 6'10" small forward that almost is like a Kate, like really a Giannis build that can shoot threes, that actually can shoot threes better than most. So it's like I have a full.
Did they make the 3-point shooting much harder than they did in the past, or is it just as good as it was before?
It's not bad. It's not bad. Just the release thing is such a, especially for next gen. It's like it's not difficult. It's just very very finicky as far as the excellent. The excellent is on like such an odd window that unless you have like badges that kind of have like a little bit of forgiveness on it, you may miss a shot. You may miss a very very good shot. But that's kind of 2K as par for the course in and
Yeah.
of itself. Um, but overall, I do like what 2K has improved on.
I might check it
And
on a free weekend and see how it goes. I don't really want to pay full price for that right now.
yep. And then for fantasy football leagues this week, we both got wins, but in very very different factions.
You want me to lead?
Yeah, because mine was definitely a very very
Interesting.
it was a very interesting finish.
Alright, so week 3 of fantasy football. My results were I kind of demolished my opponent. Sorry, whomever I demolished. I won 97-69. Nice. As Allen and Singletary also both had good games, and the wide receivers I picked had some good games as well, especially Lazard and my flex receiver, which is a tight end, and Travis Kelsey. They all had decent games, but Allen and Singletary lit it up, and I was happy about that. And if I put Jamal Williams in, I probably would have had even more points, but he is in my roster list this week. Spennis, what do you got?
I had I had a very very interesting time this weekend. I had my quarterback production has not been great. I have Russell Wilson and I have Matt Stafford, and neither of them are heavily producing. Um, However, I was able to hang on and take an 82-80 victory, as I did not get a great performance out of Stephon Diggs, Mike Williams, and Michael Pittman with my receivers. However, I did outscore my wide. Neither of us really had great performances out of our receivers. Um, I got my butt handed to me on the quarterback side, as my opponent had Jalen Hurts. I almost ran into another buzzsaw with Jalen Hurts.
Yeah,
And the
week 4 team has Jalen Hurts, so I'm not looking forward to the hurt.
yeah, and the Ravens defense. And I ran into that. I did not get a great performance out of Will Lutz like I would have liked. However, Mark Henry, or no, not Mark Henry, Derek, not the world's strongest man in the WWE, But Derrick Henry and Mark Andrews were huge for me as I got 20 and 19. That kept me in it. And a low scoring game between Denver and San Francisco where my opponent only gained 12 points put me down. I was up 5 heading into the Sunday Nighter. I ended up leaving the Sunday Nighter down 7 going into Monday Night Football, and my team that I had left, or my option I had left, was the Cowboys defense. I got 5 sacks and was down 2 points in the final quarter of the game. And it was going back and forth, and it was back and forth between the Giants and Cowboys. I got an interception with 2 minutes to go in the game between the Cowboys and Giants from Trayvon Diggs that gave me an 82-80 victory. So I improved to 1-2 in such a cliffhanger fashion after basically running into 2 proverbial buzzsaws the weeks prior. So I am now no longer in the cellar, and I'm now in 6th place out of 8. But there are 4 teams that are 2-1 in my league and 4 teams that are 1-2. So there's quite a bit of parity going on. And I
For
am
sure.
playing one of the 1-2 teams this week.
I'm playing
But
a 2-1 team, I think, or a 3-0 team, but we'll see how that goes.
yeah, but I am definitely going to be assessing my look at kicker this week and figure out where I can kind of go
Sign
and
Matt
hope
Am-
for.
Sign Matt Amendola. I swear he's good.
I'm contemplating looking at either like based on kind of where I'm looking. I could be looking at Dustin Hopkins. I could look at Dustin Hopkins. I could look at Jason Sanders, but I know that that's a short week. I also could be looking at maybe Greg Joseph, but I will definitely be looking at like some start sit analysis throughout the week.
Matt Wright was a kicker that was just signed to the Chiefs. You could probably look at him. I was joking about the Matt Amendola thing. For love of God, do not go for that. He missed like pretty much every kick last week for the
Yeah,
Chiefs.
yeah. This is like here's the stupid thing. McLaughlin reverted back to the Colts practice squad after really almost wanted to pick up Chase McLaughlin, but he's now on the practice squad, so we don't know who the. So I'm not sure who the Colts kicker is going to be.
Just unretire Adam Vinatieri. You're good.
Huh, if only. If
Kicks the
only.
ball once and snaps his ankle.
But now that we've been recapping really our fantasy football seasons in the simulated games, we're now going to go to the high heat where we actually will recap the entire actual football games
Oh yeah.
for week 3 of the NFL season. So, the first thing that we will say, Ruckus, who was the most impressive team for you this week?
It was the Browns.
This is an interesting take on this.
Because let's be honest, their defense bailed them out of the game. But hey, it's better to win the game by a lot against the Steelers rather than look like a bunch of stooges like the Steelers. Sorry, not sorry. Anyways, Spennis.
I actually am going to say that the most impressive team for me this week is the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I'm more so going as like, I thought this Jaguars Chargers game was going to be a lot better. I thought Herbert was gonna like the Herbert rib injury was not gonna be as bad. He's gonna be fine. They're gonna play all right. They're gonna play all right.
The Jaguars were like, "Give me that baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back ribs."
They just dismantled them.
Yeah,
They
they
just
wanted those baby
dismantled.
backs.
They just dismantled the Chargers, and just what's really been impressive for me about the Jaguars at this point is that this team is really coming together, and they are one of those teams that will look to stun a lot of people with actually how good they're playing right now. And I know that we'll have something here to talk about something bold later, but I almost went with something with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm like, the bold take I was almost looking at for the Jacksonville Jaguars is that the Jaguars will make the play. Is that I was going to say the bold prediction here of like the Jaguars will make the playoffs, but I'm not going to go that far just yet.
Oh, Doug Pearson can be the underdog here.
As if he wasn't already with a certain Philadelphia Eagles team that he'll play next week.
All right.
But Ruckus, who was the most disappointing team for you this week?
I would have to say the Chargers.
I think I'm going to be giving the Chargers a little bit of the benefit of the doubt this week. This one, I mean, offensively, yeah, they weren't as effective. But you have an injured Herbert. You have an injured Keenan Allen.
Now you have an injured Joey Bosa.
And I think, oh yeah, Bosa's now done for the year. So
wait, seriously? I thought he was just on the. Yeah, that makes sense. He's on the IR.
I think I just looked and said, I'm like, yeah, this is. It's either an IR, if it was an IR designated return or an IR that he's done. That Bosa's now done for the year.
AKA big a sigh of relief for the Chiefs fans when it comes to the defense, but yeah, anyways.
But my most disappointing team, and it's sad that I have to kind of do this, is that it happens to be my own. The Washington Commanders, to me, were the most disappointing team this week. You have an offensive line that is more porous than SpongeBob SquarePants. It was full of some Swiss cheese, full of holes.
Especially if he's going to get sacked for like 9 times, right? Or was it 6?
Oh, it was definitely more than 6. It was bad enough that we ended up down 22-0 last week against the Detroit Lions. We gave up 24 points in the second quarter. We held them scoreless in the first, and we held them scoreless throughout the other 3 quarters of the game. But somehow in the second quarter, we're like that worn out clunker car that's trying to come across, and we basically, for basically the 3 quarters that we made lemonade, we ended up like a bunch of lemons in the second quarter. And the offense just was flatter than the tire that it was like a nail just kind of caught right into the tire offensively for us.
That's what happens when you have that Dan Schneider blood money rolling around.
That's an old that joke is getting old, very old.
Anyways,
who was the most impressive player for you this week?
I would have to say Kyler Murray, because
again, you're going with Kyler Murray again.
Um,
You're going with Kyler Murray again? You forgot to change that one, didn't you? The
probably.
Cardinal the Cardinals lost. The
Oops.
Cardinals lost.
We'll rewind that a little bit. My most impressive player this week, on the spot would have to be Nick Bolton of the Kansas City Chiefs. With the amount of effort he showed as a defensive player against Matt Ryan,
But
which obviously wasn't doing well. Yes,
but yet again, the Chiefs lost.
who gives a shit? He did. The defense did really well against the offense of the Colts, even though Chris Jones decided to make the one of the refs angry or offended, like, I'm offended. And neither side is going to speak on what they said. And Chris Jones is making it sound like, oh, what did I actually say then, ref? Huh? Huh? And it's just like, dude, just own it up, you little baby. Anyways,
My
my
pick, my pick again was another player that went up against the Commanders. I had to take Jalen Hurts for being able to be somewhat contained in the running game, and yet Washington being able to just make the throws that they were able to. That's that's huge. Like that was huge for the Eagles this week, especially as they picked up a major win. And now instead of the impressive rookie or the most we didn't do a most impressive rookie we didn't do the most disappointing thing to happen this week. We are now doing the good, the bad, and something good, something bad, and something ugly this week.
wow wow wow. Sorry, I thought that's what comes into my brain is whoa whoa whoa. And
Oh,
then I can't do the whistle because it won't pick up in my mics, but that's okay because I don't want to burn someone's eardrums. Anyways, you want me to go first?
yeah. Go ahead and go first with this.
All
So
right.
what was? So let's start out with your good.
All right, so I kind of gave it away earlier, even though I literally forgot like a dingus to put my most impressive player. But anyways, my good is the Chiefs defense because I don't know how many times I've seen the Chiefs look like they had popcorn before the game and they were just buttery smooth all over the field and just letting running backs and wide receivers and the mixed just get the ball and just get first down after first down. That shit did not happen against the Colts. Besides, but anyways, Chiefs defense was pretty damn good. They have been better than they have been in the past. Do you want me to go back? Do you want me to just like
Yeah,
line it all up?
just do your bad, and do your ugly.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Sorry. Uh,
Where
my
was your
bad.
bat? Where was the bat? Where was the bad this week?
My bad was the Chiefs offense, as not only were they frustrated, but my God, yes, there's the whole viral thing of Mr. Mahomes and Mr. Bieniemy having an argument, but that's what happens whenever you're trying to compete and you actually give a shit about the game. As far as my ugly, I'm gonna say the Chris Jones flag, which is why we pretty much lost that game. But there could have been other reasons why we lost that game, just due to the fact of how we played versus how the Colts played. We both played bad, but the better team came up and took it away. And the fact that Matt and Ndola missed a couple of kicks probably showed why we didn't win that game because we could have won it by a little bit, but the Colts won it by a little bit anyways. But all right, Spennis, what's your good, bad, and ugly? Wah
My,
wah wah.
my good this week was just there was a lot of really good games, like games that had you actually on the edge of your seat for really the full duration of the 60 minutes. One score games pretty much with the exception of a few, one-score games dominated probably the conversation around the water cooler. The bad, the bad this week was involved in one of those close games. And yeah, this could have been an aberration. The OC lost his cool involved with that, but it was the Bills' clock mismanagement. And this is a rare aberration. As normally you would think, oh, Isaiah McKenzie's going to be able to get this out of bounds and they're going to try and kick a 59-yard field goal to win the game. Tries to get the ball back to the umpire.
Dude, the
They don't
umpire's
have
not a
enough.
ninja at all. Like, he was just taking his sweet ass time like an hourly employee.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And it left the Bills with absolutely zero time to spike it. To spike it and get them in position to have a shot at winning the game, at tying the game, or even winning the game. Actually, it would have been winning the game. So that got just McKenzie not being able to step out of bounds, or the no huddle working out correctly to be able to allow Josh Allen time to spike it. Just made the mismanagement of how the Bills handled that situation just bad.
I
Like,
just loved the temper tantrum that the offensive coordinator had. Like, they showed it right after the Chiefs lost, and it was just like it just showed him like smacking the table a couple times, and then the camera just cuts off, and I'm like, yeah, I'm glad that our situation wasn't as bad as the Bills.
well, you guys lost it on really the Colts scoring.
Right. I'm not. I just was like, thank God I'm not like the Bills right now, where where their coordinator was smashing shit left and right.
Yeah. And then the ugly, I already mentioned it. The Commanders' offensive line.
Wah wah.
It was like just the performance of that offense. Well, I mean, the offense, it was bad, but the offensive line, it was just completely atrocious. Like it makes Commanders games unwatchable. I mean, I love my team, but it's insufferable at times. And trust me, the only way this gets better, honestly, is run the owner out, but we can't do that. So, Ruckus, what was the best game for you this week?
I'm gonna have to say the Bills and the Dolphins, just for like the sheer interest of how the game is going, and I watched it literally as they tuned over from the Colts Chiefs, and that's when they showed the butt punt. But not it wasn't solely because haha hee hee butt haha hee hee butt punt. It was because it was a close game for the most part, and I watched the highlights afterwards, even though there was the main attraction was the butt punt.
It was a boneheaded thing that, weirdly enough, turned into an odd tactical advantage. Like, it was the weirdest thing in the world. But somehow it oddly worked. It worked in its own weird, sick, and twisted way.
Yep.
For me, the best game this week, there were so many good ones to pick from. But I took Vikings Lions, as that game as a whole was just back and forth, like it's back and forth intense entertainment. The Lions holding Justin Jefferson completely in check, while the Vikings were still managing to be able to make the big plays that they needed to, in spite of losing Dalvin Cook to a shoulder issue that will be affecting day to day or week to week. So it so for me, I think the Vikings Lions in that Dan Campbell versus Kevin O'Connell matchup, it like it's like Russell Crowe standing there in Gladiator saying, "Are you not entertained?"
And then Gerard Butler's just like, actually, no.
But that game was actually entertaining. I mean, granted, it ended with Jared Goff, like the major final play of the game that mattered was Jared Goff throwing an interception.
Goff!
But I mean, it.
Shout
I
out
will
to Randy
mention
Marsh for
stuff
that
on the line.
reference.
Yeah. I will start. I will mention the Lions at another point, but the Lions are the Lions have been playing great football, and it's showing. It's just that the Vikings, I think, legitimately could be a playoff contender now. And what would you say was the worst game this week, Ruckus?
The Packers and Bucks, just simply because Tom Brady, yes, he also lost with the Chiefs in similar fashion, but like, hey, the Bucks were without their wide receivers, and they had Cole Beasley as one of the newbies, but that didn't help. The Packers kind of just smushed them, and that's what made it kind of boring. But at the same time, whenever the Bucks were knocking on the Cheeseheads' doors, it didn't pan out. It was like a knock knock. It was like a bad knock knock joke. We'll just put it that way.
It was a very game in terms of actually like watching it because Tom Brady was competing without Mike Evans,
Chris Godwin.
Chris Godwin. I mean, I think Scotty Miller didn't play either.
I thought Scotty
So,
Doe played a little bit.
actually, I think he might. No, it was Julio Jones that he didn't have. So
Yeah, Don
really,
Julio.
Tom Brady. So Tom Brady was out like a lot of receivers. So he was able. So Tom Brady able to do a lot with a little, but just could not get everything that he needed to in order to get the win. So I mean, the game was because the quarterbacks at this point, age wise, is because they're both old. The quarterbacks were so old that I swear this is probably the matchup that they would have in the retirement home.
Yeah, Hippie Rogers would probably just sit there and have a kumbaya session where Tom Brady would just be like, man, I really love my kids, and I'll kiss them on the mouth to give me rejuvenation powers to throw another game of football for a year. But man, when it comes down to it, I'm just going to troll the shit out of people and make them think that I'm gonna retire every year. Sorry, not sorry.
Why did that all of a sudden sound like an action sequence of Brett Favre with the voice of Hank Hill?
Well, the difference is Tom Brady didn't commit a welfare scam. At
That
least
was
we
like
don't
years
know.
later, but I was talking like no, but I was talking in terms of like the retire, unretire. Oh, I'm gonna retire again. Like retire, unretire. I'm gonna
Well,
retire.
technically speaking, Tom Brady kind of retired. And I say kind of very roughly because everyone was like, "Oh, he retired," but really he kind of like barely like dipped his toe in the water and then he was like, "Actually, psych."
Yeah, but for me, I'm gonna say this: the worst game this week, Broncos country. We're dead inside.
That's right.
No. Like this game did not say for me, let's ride.
You gotta put more
Th-
emphasis on it, Spence. You
This
gotta
said,
say.
this is more like Broncos country. I'm ready to run and hide because
Boo, not funny.
well, this game was bad.
I know it was
Like this game,
bad, but I'm just giving you shit.
I know I'm not trying to do the I'm not trying to do the Russell Wilson thing here. I know that we've been running the Russell Wilson thing as a running gag here, and I know how it's supposed to be said, but this is but I'm trying to satirize it with something like completely ineffective, as Russell Wilson does have at times. I mean, he can do like the hype up voice like that, but then he can have like his voice be just so bland.
How about
And
let's kill time? Yes, no, maybe so.
mm,
Bad time management joke.
Hackett hired a guy. Hackett hired a guy to fix that. So really, it's just the problem is that game, especially in terms of the Broncos' perspective and everything with that. I mean, it ended 11-10. I'm sorry, that's a high scoring baseball game. Like, it just was so bland of a game that really the only fun part of that was Jimmy Garoppolo accidentally stepping out of the back of the end zone.
Yeah, I heard about that. I also think maybe with Russ's experience with the New York Yankees, maybe he thought he was playing baseball.
And that just, I don't know how well that would have really sat.
I mean, it's probably better than Let's Ride, but it is what it is.
But now, the bold take this week.
My take, this was out of nowhere. I picked because the Raiders are 0-3, and their head coach happens to be Josh McDaniels. I think he needs to go back to old Bill Belichick in New England and be like, "Hey, I'm here for you, man. I didn't really want to leave you, but hey, it is what it is. My situation at home isn't very good, and we're 0-3, and I want to come back, babe." And then Bill Belichick is like, I don't know. But point is, I think Josh McNeils needs to uh, get fired. I know it's been 3 games, but good lord, child, he wasn't even good um, in Denver with the Broncos back in the day either. And then he ended up coming
I'm going
back
to
to New
mention this
England.
later. We're going to mention something on this as far as the Raiders later. But I honestly think, I don't know if I fully agree with that take. I really don't.
I mean, it is bold.
I mean, it's bold, but I don't necessarily agree with it.
Fair
And
enough.
that's just because, and I'll mention things like later on, like, have the Raiders really been out of every single game that they played in? No. Did the pan out thing with Devon, or has the thing fully like really panned out for Devontae Adams? Still early. I think the jury's still out on that. I think there's a lot of the jury is still out on that one. If we're really wanting to truly break down the perspective here, that McDaniels is having a good second stint as a head coach. And he's learned a lot from his attempt the first time. So I think there's a little more benefit of the doubt that needs to be given. However, my bold take probably may not seem as bold as what we think it is, but I'm not. It may be something that you may not fully agree with. I I have that the Lions have been playing better than what their 1-2 record shows.
I
The
honestly
Detroit,
think that the Lions have been playing better than that too. I agree, actually, to be honest.
yeah, I really think that they've been playing better than what their record shows. I mean, I think the Raiders probably have too, but at the same time, the Lions are 1-2, but they very well with fighting back against Philadelphia and really having a major back and forth battle with Minnesota that both of those came down to really one possession. I really think that the Lions very well have, if you have certain breaks go their way, you've got a 3-0 team. You have an undefeated team. 1-2 just happens to be like kind of the thing here, and that the team is now fully playing behind Dan Campbell, and that I really think that Dan Campbell at this point is the right coach for what Detroit needed.
That is for sure. You need the talent too, which is what they have now.
And I think that the excellent development that has come, especially in the breakout of Amon-Ra St. Brown and DeAndre Swift, is huge. Almost at the beginning of my the breakout player, I almost, instead of DeAndre Swift, I almost put him on Amon-Ra St. Brown for that reason. But now we will move to the color commentary. This segment was formerly known as Setting the Lineup. Is a weekly segment where Ruckus and I will have, say, a scenario that we get to analyze. And we get to analyze and debate. If you have any suggestions for this is really the one segment that we have Major League that we will crowdsource for. So the comment section of YouTube, or if you know us well enough, like you can hit us up on our Twitter, for this.
If you know us better than that, like face to face, just send us a text, man.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah. You can always communicate, like an open avenue of communication, and even some ideas that you kind of want to throw our way for especially this segment as a whole.
You could also tell us we
Is
suck, but we won't take it personally because
is
we know
nice
you're
to have.
joking.
But this week's scenario is called Patience Panic. The question here is, after 3 games of the NFL season, are these teams that we will be mentioning here in patience or panic mode? And we will start with where you were kind of thinking of here. The New England Patriots.
I think yes, they have Brian Hoyer right now in front of Mac Jones. I have not looked very religiously yet if Mac Jones is good or not. My guess is probably not for this week. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Mac Jones is going to be missing some time with this one. I think it's a bad enough injury that Mac Jones is going to miss a little bit of time.
Do you think it's going to be that bad to where they had to get a trade for a star quarterback to get over the hump for the Patriots, or do you think it's just a temporary fix to where it's like, okay, we're gonna have a rough patch, but then eventually Mac Jones is coming back?
I don't know if I would put the Patriots completely in panic mode. But
Because personally, I put them in patience, but it's kind of hard to do when Mac Jones, which is their star rookie QB, or not really rookie anymore, but like you get what I'm saying, a young quarterback that is. I mean, you could probably have said the same thing to Pat Mahomes like years ago when he had the leg injury. Like he was gone for like 3 or 4 games, and then came back strong and won a Super Bowl. Like we don't really know right now in the present how Mac Jones is going to recover. Everyone recovers differently, and it also depends on who is on your medical, like what's going on medically and whatnot. But I think it's patience for me.
But here's where I'm also going to throw a little bit of a breakdown here. The next 4 games for the Patriots, 3 of them are with NFC North teams. You have the Packers, the Lions, the Browns, and the Bears. With the Lions as tough as they are, the Packers kind of coming off of a huge win, and Mac Jones now all of a sudden getting hurt, and the quarterback of the future now gonna miss a little bit of time. I think I'm gonna say this. I think they're I think they're in a point where they are to be alarmed. Is it complete panic? No. I would definitely have the hand ready on the button, but I would almost could lead to a Patriot reunion for Cam Newton should they decide to.
Can I elaborate on the injury really quick?
Yeah.
There was a news article by ESPN, Mike Reese, where he talked to Bill Belichick and said, Bill Belichick said injured quarterback Mac Jones wouldn't practice Wednesday, but is definitely making a lot of progress in the last 48 hours. And then turned to theater in a news conference that okay. Take it
I
day by
anticipate
day, Belichick said. Is the plan for Jones to have a procedure to help his recovery? Day by day, he said, notably pausing between the words. That's the plan, day by day. Are the Patriots and Jones on the same page as the best move to move forward? And he says, I'm not really sure what the nature of the question is, but day by day, he's getting better. We'll see how it goes, day by day. So it sounds like he sounds like he's being optimistic and trying to calm people, but
yeah.
who knows?
Yeah. Belichick I think is trying to be optimistic and going through the thing, but honestly, I think that the Patriots are more so in a position where I think their hand needs to be ready on the button just in case. Just in case. It's like, okay, the situation is about to go left, but you've got Green Bay and Detroit coming in. If the Patriots lose both of those games, the glass will break and the panic button will hit.
What if they just went for someone that wasn't like torn to shreds like Cam Newton? What if they went for someone else?
Hmm. Who's really out there is the problem. I think that's the hard part.
That is true. Um,
But where we're going to go with this here is now the next one is the very team that you said had a coach that needed to go back to New England in Josh McDaniels and the 0-3 Las Vegas Raiders. Are the Raiders in patience or panic?
I think they're in a little bit of a panic. Yes, I was saying, hey, like a bold prediction is like McDaniels gets fired, but McDaniels hasn't had any Me Too stuff happen to him with the whole. He hasn't had any emails where he's like talking about how hot a cheerleader is or being racist or anything like that. So I think it's more like I think it's a middle ground between patience and panic. So I'm gonna just say patience for now.
I'm actually on. Well, hold up here. I'm actually on full basis here of the Raiders being fully patient. Here's what the next few games are for the Raiders. You have the Broncos this week, the Chiefs next week on Monday Night Football. Then you get the Texans, Saints, Jaguars. That's your next 5. I think the Raiders, if they manage to beat Denver, and take advantage of some of the mistakes that Russell Wilson has had being able to adjust to mile high and beat the Broncos at home, I think the Raiders will be just fine. Like they just need to get one win in the system and momentum could shift. And the trajectory could shift. And I think that the Raiders being patient because they have been in every single game and just have had not all the breaks go their way. They blow a lead against Arizona. They lose a tight one to Tennessee. They lose a tight one with the Chargers before Herbert had gotten hurt. I think that the Raiders need to be patient because they're just a team that really has dealt with a lot of just them's the breaks. Like they're just a situation where them's the breaks. And some of the breaks may not be as good or as favorable as what it was. So I'm going to say really the Raiders need to be a little more patient than what you think they are. Next up, the Tennessee Titans. Are they in patience or panic mode?
I think you need more patience with the Titans, especially like they had some rough games here lately, especially against the Bills when they lost horribly, but the Bills defense is like crazy good compared to other defenses in the league. And they showed it by scoring like at least 2 or 3 touchdowns against the Titans alone before even Josh Allen had a chance to be like, oh, look at me, I'm the main event here. But like the defense for the Bills was like, yo, like we're the main event, get out of here.
I, I think for the Titans, the answer is yes, patience. Because the next 4 games before going into Kansas City, they're currently 1-2. You have both of your matchups with the Colts, a bye week, your bye week in between the Commanders and the Commanders in your second matchup with the Colts, and on the 30th, heading into November when they take on the Chiefs, you have the Houston Texans to wrap up the month of October. So I really think that the whole month of October is going to be I think it's going to be a winning month for the Tennessee Titans. And patience is going to pay off. The next one, and we'll kind of be a little bit quicker with these, the Detroit Lions.
I think they're in patience mode. They're still in a very long growth period, so I'm gonna say patience.
I think they also are in patience. Their next 3 games are the Seahawks, Patriots, and Cowboys. I'm gonna say patience for them as well. The Chargers.
I have to say patience as well.
I
Mainly,
actually,
mainly because the defense is new and there's a lot of learning curves to that for the new guys.
though I would also think that I don't think the schedule is as favorable for the Chargers to do that. Yes, I mean they have the Texans, the Browns, and the Broncos in your next 3. However, I think that now that we know that Joey Bosa is gonna be gone for either an extended amount of time to even the rest of the season, I think you're in break the glass mode and with Herbert not being healthy and Keenan Allen still hurt, I think the glass breaks and the Chargers are going to be in panic mode. If they don't win against the Texans or the Browns heading into Broncos week on on Monday Night Football, I think the Chargers are going to royally be in trouble. The Washington Commanders.
I think they're in a weird predicament, but I'm gonna say patience because they don't even have the strength of their defense back in Chase Young until like probably week 5 or 6 or later, but I think they can prevail.
Think I, I I think this is another one where I'm actually going to say the secondary, like particular sections of it, may need patience, but I think there's other sections in this that really, honestly, just panic. I think the Commanders are more in a state of hysteria, as the next few for the Commanders include the Cowboys and the Titans. And they have a long way to go before the bye and they have a long way to go before their bye week. Their next four are the Cowboys, Titans, Bears on a short week. Bears on a short week, and then the Packers. Then they get the Colts on the 30th. So, with that being said, I think the Colts, or well, we'll talk about the Colts here later. I think the Commanders are in panic mode because they need to get this victory with Dallas if they even want to stay in the division race. And speaking of the Cowboys, are they in patience or panic?
I feel like they should be in a semi world of panic when it comes to the quarterback situation because even if Dak is there, they're kind of just not always going to be successful. And yes, you have Ezekiel Elliott, but last time I checked, he didn't have that big of a season recently, and the only thing that's keeping you there is the defense with Micah Parsons and Trayvon Diggs.
Yeah, but that should be enough to hold them over. That should be enough to hold them over until Dak returns. And that to me makes the Cowboys for me have to be patient. The Pittsburgh Steelers.
I'm gonna have to say patience mainly because their offense is all over the place, but they're still trying to figure out which quarterback to throw to because Mitch Trubisky has been in there, and then you have Kenny Pickett, which you're wondering whether or not he's gonna come in later or sooner to fill the spot for Trubisky. You just don't know what's going to happen. You're game in and game out, and they're trying to find that inner sanctum to figure out whether or not, hey, are we going to do this or that? Like it's still a learning curve, and it's kind of annoying, but it is what it is. Steelers are impatient, in my opinion.
I actually am going to say that their quarterback situation says patience. Their schedule the next few games definitely says otherwise. They get the Jets this week. Okay. But after you deal with the Jets this week, you you go to Buffalo. They go to Buffalo, host Tampa Bay, go to Miami, and then they go to Philadelphia. So 4 out of the next 5 games are on the road with a team that has not necessarily been the best at executing, especially on Monday Night Football. So I think the Steelers might be in a little bit of a panic mode in terms of which quarterback is going to put them in the best position to win ball games. And last but not least, the Indianapolis Colts.
I'm gonna just say, panic mode for the Colts. Yes, they have Matt Ryan. Yes, they have Jonathan Taylor, but I don't think it's enough for them to prevail. And they had the offseason to think it over and maybe upgrade a little bit on either offensive or defensive sides for themselves, and they decided to save the money they were going to use in the offseason and just kind of ride with it. And yes, they took the contract of Matt Ryan from the Falcons, but even the fact that they beat the Chiefs as they got on the board 1-2 in their respective division, I don't think they have what it takes. And they're looking like a worse version of what last year had for them.
They will be playing with pressure. They will be playing with pressure. I think the schedule has the should have the Colts in a little more of a frenzy. But I think the Colts overall will probably be patient. Because granted, you have the Titans this week, the Broncos next week, the Jaguars the week after, and then the Titans again. So I think it's going to kind of be one of those where I think the Titans are more on a roller coaster than they are on like a smooth ride. Like this thing is going to be bumpy. Is kind of the whole thing. I think the Colts are one of those teams that might want to be prepared to break the glass, but don't break it yet. And now we go. Now that we've kind of analyzed a little bit, we're now going to go into further analysis and go into the film room.
Indeed, we shall.
Last week, Ruckus and I both finished with winning records. As Ruckus finished with a 6-4 record, and I finished with 7-3. I am now still up by I am up by 6 games on Ruckus, heading into week 4 of the NFL season and another week of a couple of college football games. The first one is going to be Oklahoma State, Baylor.
I say OSU, baby.
All right, so OK State. I think I'm going to agree with you here, as OK State is going to beat Baylor. Although I wanted to put the Alabama game in here, I didn't, because a top 10 matchup in college football. NC State Clemson. Number 10 NC State.
I'm
Number
gonna say
5
it's an
Clemson.
upset with NC State over Clemson. Call me crazy, but screw it.
I'm going with the Tigers.
Go Tigers! Wrong Tigers.
Yep. And now into the NFL. Eagles Jaguars.
I'm gonna go Eagles. Because, yes, the Jaguars have a good defense, but the Eagles have a equally good defense as well.
Eagles versus the. I think I'm gonna agree with you here. I almost wanted to go with the Jaguars, but I certainly think I'm gonna go with the Eagles here. Bills and Ravens.
Bills.
You're taking the Bills. I think I too am going to take the Bills. Chiefs Buccaneers.
How about those Chiefs?
Yeah, it's a head and shoulders thing here. I'm taking the Chiefs. The
And shoulder season toast, knees and toast.
the
Alright, Dolphins and Bengals. I'm
all
gonna have to
right.
say, I'm gonna have to say the Cincinnati Bengals.
Hmm. This one's tough because Miami has been playing incredibly well. I think Joe
I
Burrow is
factored
now
in the
starting to
Tua
get
injury. I factored in the Tua injury. My bad.
yeah. But I think that they'll hang on here. Bengals. Seahawks, Lions. I
I
already know
picked the
where.
Lions.
Yeah, I think the problem is I think we're gonna agree on just about every single game here. Broncos, Raiders.
I'm gonna have to say the Raiders because of the fact that they look more sophisticated than the Broncos. Even though I totally took a dump on them earlier, but I'm just saying Raiders are better than the Broncos.
Hmm. This is hard to tell because I think every single defensive player may be available to a better extent of it for the for the Broncos.
But the Raiders have younger defensive ends. They have Max Crosby, and yes, Chandler Jones has been in the league, but you still got youth on your side for the Raiders versus the Broncos, where Bradley Chubb's been there for a while, and then Randy Gregory's been there for. I think his name is Randy Gregory.
Gregory Gregory, this is his first year with them.
Yeah, but still, he's still been in the league for a while.
Yeah. I get where you're going. But I am actually going. This game I think is in Las Vegas. So I think I'm going to be safe here and go with the Raiders. And the funny thing here, other than North Carolina State and Clemson, Ruckus and I came to a very strong consensus with this one.
What if I'm just doing this so that my lead in the games back is like lessened because you fell into like many of my traps?
Well, the thing is that if you match me, it doesn't go as far for you. But
It's like a yin yang kind of thing.
yep, yep. And now we are to our prime time game of the episode. And our
It's time!
and it is a trivia showdown, or what we also like to call a sports flex. However, this is the one theme that we had. 25, the pretty much centering around 25, as it is our 25th episode. We made categories for two players that at one point wore the number 25. Players that had notable stat lines and moments during their age 25 season. And because this is also our silver episode, we talked about silver sluggers. There are two players with the jersey number of 25, one age 25 season, and one silver slugger. Ruckus, I will let you do the honors of going first.
Alright, so first meaning I'm the one that answers your question or the one that talks
Yep.
about what.
Oh, yeah, you're picking first.
Alright, we'll go with players who wore number 25.
Okay, the question I will be the question I will have for you here is: do you want A or B?
Let's go B.
B. Okay. Though wearing the number 4 during his first championship with the San Antonio Spurs, this five-time NBA champ as a player wore number 25 for his first 3 championships as a Chicago Bull and his 5th and final championship and his 2nd as a San Antonio Spur?
Who is Tim Duncan?
Incorrect. What if I told you that this number 25 is now probably a little bit more known for coaching teams to titles than winning them as a player?
Was it Robinson?
No. This would have been with the Bulls of the 90s for his first 3 championships. Who's
Yeah.
Steve Kerr? Who's Steve Kerr?
I viewed Steve Kerr as like a point guard, not a center, though.
No, but I said this number 25. This player
I
who
was
wore
thinking of
number
like a
25.
center. That's what I was thinking. That's what I was like,
I said, though wearing the number 4 during his first championship, I mean, Kerr throughout his career didn't really wear very many numbers. I mean, 4, 5, but most of the time in his career, he wore number 25. Okay, so the first one that I am going to call for is the age 25 season.
all right, all right. So here we go. Here we go. In 2017, this outfielder hit 52 home runs in 542 at bats with 114 RBIs for the Yankees.
In his age 25 season,
Correct.
this I believe is Aaron Judge.
That is correct.
Yep. Okay. So the question is, which category are you looking to now?
How about age 25 season?
Age 25 season. This NFL running back in his age 25 season rushed for 1,750 yards with 15 touch. I think it was like 25 with numerous touchdowns, finishing 3rd in MVP voting, 2nd in Offensive Player of the Year voting, and voted to his 2nd of his 3 career Pro Bowls and was a first-team All-Pro for the 2nd time in his career. He also won Super Bowl MVP that season, and in his age 26 season, improved upon his age 25 season as he won NFL MVP, was not the Super Bowl MVP in his age 26 season, but also rushed for 2,000 yards. And the main thing I'm going to steer you here with, late 90s.
I was thinking between Barry Sanders or Deion Sanders.
Deion was a corner, and Barry Sanders was approaching retirement at this point. And Barry Sanders never got it. The Lions have never gotten to a Super Bowl.
When
So
you're
the year
talking,
so I'm
when you're
saying the years here are for his age 25 season, it was 1997, his age 26 season 1998.
I couldn't tell you, to be honest, when it comes to the Lions.
It's not even a Lion. It's a Bronco. Terrell Davis.
Oh, I wouldn't have known that, to be honest, but
I mean, Super Bowl MVP that season. I mean, I was trying to get you with also a Super Bowl MVP.
That's what I was thinking too, because I was like, crap, that's gotta be someone big.
He won a Super Bowl MVP. He won a Super Bowl MVP one season, and then the very next year won the NFL MVP award and rushed for 2,000 yards. And of course, the very next year, as far as the Super Bowl MVP for that Super Bowl MVP went to John Elway. And if I would have given you that it was a Bronco, it probably it would have steered you completely in the wrong direction. I'm gonna go Silver Sluggers.
All right, here we go. This outfielder won the Silver Slugger Award 4 times so far in his career, and 3 as a member of the Red Sox and 1 as a Dodger. He won 2 World Series with both teams. Name this outfielder.
Also known for having a pretty good stint also as well with the PBA, as in the Professional Bowlers Association. This is Mookie Betts.
Mookie! Yes.
Yeah, this is Mookie Betts. Yep.
Alright. Let's do players who that wore number 25.
Okay. So this number 25 was one half of an Oakland Athletics duo called the Bash Brothers. Andy Samberg did a musical special about this duo on Netflix almost 30 years after they disbanded and went to different teams. This number 25 was also a primary subject of ESPN 30 for 30's Long Gone Summer, but was not a member of the Athletics during the setting that was talked about in Long Gone Summer. But
Who's
still
Mark
also wore number
McGwire?
25. That is Mark McGwire, yes.
I was thinking between Jose Canseco and Mark McGwire at the beginning because I was like, okay, I'm gonna let him finish.
Yeah. Canseco was not one of those.
Yeah, he was
All
probably
right.
arrested
So
somewhere.
my first number 25.
Alright, you ready?
Yep.
Um, this NBA player was a 8-time NBA All-Star from 2000 to 2007. He was a All-NBA second team in 2001 and a Rookie of the Year in 2000. He won the NBA dunk contest in 2000 versus Tracy McGrady. I can
And
repeat it if you want to.
what was interesting with this number 25, for most of his NBA career, he actually wore number 15. He only had to wear number 25 really with a brief stint with the Phoenix Suns. This is Vince Carter.
Yep.
Yeah, this is Vince Carter. Yep.
Damn, I
And
thought it'd be harder.
and here is your Silver Slugger. This 5-time NL Silver Slugger winner won it 5 straight times from 1999 to 2003. He also has a Gold Glove and an NLCS MVP award. Played for 6 teams in his career, including the Rockies, Mets, Mariners, and Astros.
Who's Lance Berkman?
No. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of a thing here. For the longest time, remember the NL pitchers had to hit. Pitchers had to hit. So this also is in a category also of pitchers who rake.
You said from 99 to 2003.
1999 to 2003. I think Berkman was also a little later than that, and I don't think Berkman won five Silver Sluggers either.
Gosh, I don't know of really any pitchers that hit during that time.
Oh, this one was notably known for doing it.
Uh, you got me. I got nothing on it.
But notably here, the interesting piece of this that he has is that this player has 16 home runs as a pitcher, and in 2001, the middle of a Silver Slugger run, he hit 7 of them.
I still don't know, dude.
This is left-handed pitcher Mike Hampton.
Yeah, I wouldn't have caught that.
Yeah. I know I may have gone like over your range, but I'm like, okay, I'm like, okay, I think that Mike Hampton was also on MLB The Show at one point in time, so I figured I'm like, wait, he might know this one.
It's all good, dude.
And then my last number 25.
All right. This player was a 13-time All-Star, an AL MVP in 1980, and won the World Series in 1985. He did not play for any other team.
Yet I'm shocked that this is 25 because I thought he had spent most of his career actually having that 2 removed from his jersey. That's George Brett.
God damn it, yes. I was hoping that would, like, slip you, because I even looked at that whenever I was looking at my age 20, or at my, players that wore number 25, and I looked at that, I was like, wait, that must be a grammatical error or thing on the website, and it was like, okay, I looked at Baseball Reference for George Brett, and it said he actually wore the number 25 for one season.
Yep. Yep, and the funny thing is that it's like, okay, I actually picked players who, like Mark McGwire for most of his career, yeah, he wore number 25. Wore number 25 for the better part of his career. And also I did the same thing with Steve Kerr too, although he would switch around between 4 and 5 early on.
Yeah.
But now we're to the fun part. Our studs and duds of the week. I mean, we would call this the weekly stud dud, but I just kind of wanted to go like stud and dud of the week.
Come on, man! Do we want to go with our duds
All
first?
right. Well, I would almost say we probably would go with our studs first because I think we're going to spend a little less time on them.
Alright, I'll go with my stud first. Um, my stud is a group effort with the Royals with their comeback on Sunday versus the Mariners of 13-12.
Okay, so I went with a special honorable mention in terms of just commentary on a tweet. Dan Orlovsky is going to be my honorable mention stud for his tweet regarding Jimmy Garoppolo's stepping out of the back of the end zone during the 49ers Broncos game Sunday night, where Orlovsky was feeling like, oh, I'm not alone in all this. Granted, Dan Orlovsky's was he stepped out of the back of the end zone because Jared Allen was coming at him and he was trying to avoid getting sacked. Jimmy Garoppolo stepped out of the back of the end zone trying to throw a pass. but that pass ultimately ended in what would have been a pick six. But my stud for this week is actually in the Bears Texans game with Khalil Herbert for an excellent running game of 157 yards on 20 carries and a pair of touchdowns. As the Bears head into MetLife Stadium this coming Sunday with a 2-1 record. But now the fun part. Even though we just talked about Jimmy Garoppolo's stepping into out of the back of the end zone, what is the dud for you this week?
My come on man moment was with Morstead of the Dolphins, where he kicked a punt off of his defender's butt, and that hence the name butt punt, as it caused a safety for the Dolphins, but no pun intended. Uh, the Dolphins still win the game by 2 because the Dolphins uh, stopped the Bills and the Bills ran out of time. But it was still funny to see that in the footage that the man kicked his own teammate in the butt with a football. When in reality, if you looked at it in real time, it just looked like it got like deflected somewhere when really it was his homie's butt. But it is what it is, man. But come on, man. All right.
Okay. So my dud this week is in the Mariners Royals game on Sunday, where Robbie Ray and Luke Weaver got ejected from a game for a national anthem standoff. And they were kind of going for a little bit, and the umpires are just like, no, we're going to run you both. We're going to run you both.
We
And
can't
I don't,
tolerate the amount of time it takes for you guys to have your little standoff at the end of the season because, we have rules in place and we don't give a shit. That was pretty much how it seemed.
yeah, it's just like, yeah, you're gone. You're not pitching. And I'm like, it's the end of the season, and these guys are just doing like a test of wills at this point. The Mariners are are in the playoffs. The Royals are not. Why does this even like? I would have loved for this to have been a little bit more of a funny moment, but a funny moment got ruined.
I mean, especially for the Mariners, since it was that same game where where the Royals beat them by 1 in a comeback win. But that's besides the point. We didn't even know that shit was gonna happen after the ejection. We were just like, whatever, just another game, and then bam, just straight up chaos.
Yep.
Come
All right.
on, man.
All right, Ruckus, take us out.
All right, Skip. This has been episode 25 of Ruckus and The Menace. I am Ruckus.
What is this? I'm Ruckus the Menace.
And thank you for tuning in for the 25th episode of this amazing, awesome podcast. I have loved every minute of it, and ever since the first episode, I've been very excited to talk sports with this man right here, the man, the myth, the legend, Spennis. And I've always had like this rush of like, hey, I really want to talk sports, but I don't know how to put it because I didn't know at the time if I wanted to be a broadcaster or if I just wanted to like make a blog about it. But I feel like this is the best of both worlds because either way, we're not really getting paid by anybody. We can still talk shit on the internet about it, no matter what it is.
All right, deuces, everybody.
All right, y'all have a good one. We'll talk to you later, and thank you for listening to our amazing podcast. Even if you don't think so, it is what it is. Thank you for listening to episode Silver. Peace.